But something will happen when I become the president. As soon as I take office, I will begin the process of moving the United States ambassador to the city of Israel as chosen as its capital.
Jerusalem will remain the capital of Israel, and it must remain undivided.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem. And we will send a clear signal that there is no daylight between America and our most reliable ally, the State of Israel.
I can tell you that it was a very thoughtful interagency process. The president, I would say, is pretty solid in his thinking at this point.
Presidents have talked about it for a long time, but this president, it seems, is going to do it. And that is to declare Jerusalem the capital of Israel and then make a plan to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Now, the number of calls today between the president and world leaders, the Israeli prime minister, the president of the Palestinian Authority, the king of Jordan, the Egyptian president, King Salman of Saudi Arabia. There are 17 countries warning the U.S. against moving the embassy to Jerusalem, and this is the list of those countries because they fear that there will be a lot of controversy, a lot of potential danger. And tonight we can report that U.S. embassies across the region are staffing up on security, including U.S. Marine fast teams. Let's bring in our panel. In Washington, Mara Liasson, national political correspondent of National Public Radio. From Chicago, Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics co-founder and publisher. And from Wasilla, Alaska, Kimberly Strassel, member of the editorial board at the Wall Street Journal. Mara, let me start with you. We have covered this. I've covered it as a chief White House correspondent. I know you've covered it. Many presidencies have talked about this. It seems that this president is going to do it.
It seems he's going to do it. What we don't know is what the timeline is going to be. We expect that he will do two things. He will say that he recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, but he'll also sign that waiver again, which means that the embassy isn't going to move just yet. It might take several years to do it. And the question is, given all those countries who are against this move, with the exception, of course, of Israel, the president will be fulfilling a campaign promise. He'll make his base very happy, conservative Christians, members of the Jewish community, but I don't know exactly how this increases the momentum for a Middle East peace deal.
To that point, H.R. McMaster, the National Security Advisor, speaking to Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday about this.
Are options involving the move of an embassy at some point in the future, which I think could be used to gain momentum toward a peace agreement and a solution that works both for Israelis and for Palestinians.
So, Kimberly, does this put the cart before the horse at this action?
No, I think McMaster makes an underrated but important point because, look, one of the sticking points always when you get to an Israeli-Palestinian negotiation is this question of Jerusalem. And what this does in moving the capital and actually taking the step, it's an acknowledgement that that is something that that the Israelis are never going to budge on and that the United States backs them in. And it's also a way of highlighting that the Palestinian focus on this has been an obstruction to moving ahead in negotiations. So there is an argument to be made that if you get it done and get it over with, you lay the groundwork to then move forward.
Tom?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is another example of Trump not being steeped in political traditions, diplomatic traditions, and not approaching this decision from the traditional. We've had this policy of signing this waiver, even though it's been government policy since 1995, even since, though you played, all of the presidents had not been willing to take this step for perhaps antagonizing other countries. Trump approached the North Korea problem the same way. As you know, what we've done in the past hasn't worked, so he's willing to take a different tack. He did that on Paris climate. I mean, there are a list of examples where love Trump or hate Trump, he approaches these problems from a different perspective, and we'll see how it works out.
So I guess the question is, Mara, is the reaction in the region, and if there are in fact U.S. facilities in danger as a result of even the naming of Jerusalem as the capital?
Yeah, well, that's the big question. The Palestinians said that they didn't want him to do it. They're warning about violence. They're talking about days of rage. The Saudis, who are Trump's new best friends in the region, didn't want him to do it. Turkey said this would be a red line for Muslims. I mean, we don't know yet what the reaction is going to be. People are warning about a possibly violent reaction. We'll find out. But I think the big question is, when McMaster says this might make it easier or open up some options, what are they and what is the plan? The president says he wants to make this ultimate deal, but we have never heard a lot of details about what it would be or even a framework.
Kimberly, last word on this.
Yeah, this also just gets to credibility. As has been mentioned, a lot of presidents have said they're going to do this, and they haven't followed through. And as every foreign policy expert will tell you, there is no greater currency, no greater negotiating power than a country has when it actually does what it says it's going to do. So with any luck, by actually effecting this move, the president gains a little bit of credibility in that peace process if he's going to go forward with it.